Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let's chant the first three verses together. Viditakhila Shastra Sudha Jaladhe Mahitopanishad Kathitarthanidhe Hridaye Kalaye Vimalan Charanam Bhavashankara Deshikame Sharanam Bhavashankara Deshikame Sharanam Karuna Varunalaya Palaya Mam Bhavasagara Dukha Viduna Hridam Rajaya Khila Darshana Tattva Vidam Bhavashankara Deshikame Sharanam Bhavashankara Deshikame Sharanam Bhavata Janata Sukhita Bhavita Nijabodha Vicharana Charumate Kalayeshwara Jiva Viveka Vidam Bhavashankara Deshikame Sharanam Bhavashankara Deshikame Sharanam. By you, people will become very happy when in the remote future, including right now. Yeah. A prophecy that the student is making about the teacher, not a subjective prophecy, but something very objective, as we can see, because he knows his teacher's caliber and he knows that whatever he has done is extremely earth-shattering. Whatever he's doing and has done has breathed, Adi Shankara has breathed new life into the lineage, into the parampara. And this is why it is earth-shattering and people will be made happy. And, and as I said, it's not easy to make people happy. It's not easy to make anybody happy. And anyone who is married can confirm the truth of my words. It's not at all easy. Yeah. And so, therefore, what does this mean? What it means is given in the third line. Kalayeshwara Jiva Vivekavidam, which needs some discussion. But before that, just to sum up, Nijabodha Vicharana Charumate. One with a beautiful mind. Again, the word beautiful is very, very subjective. What may be beautiful to one person, it might be ugly to another person. In America, they have this, if you go to the supermarket, all the carrots look alike. They're all big, of course, and then they're all identical. But that's not how they grow in the fields. Sometimes two carrots, get entangled and grow like this. Sometimes the potato has a tumor and the eggplant has a Siamese twin, all these things. But you'll never see those in the supermarket. Previously, it all used to be destroyed. Now there is the ugly food movement where it is being sold and consumed and not wasted. Okay? So what is beautiful, what is ugly? I mean, once you cut up the carrot, what is there to be ugly? It all gets ingested and assimilated and digested. But still, somehow people are very worried about looks. And so this way, what is a beautiful mind, who is to say? But there are some certain objective criteria, as we saw, that which is pure, free of raga dveshas, that which is blessed with clarity, to talk about what exactly is the issue here, that which is unafraid and that which is devoted This is what we, just to summarize, the one with the beautiful mind where the Nija Bodha, Nija means oneself. So Atma Bodha, one's own knowledge of oneself, shines. The inquiry of the knowledge of oneself shines. And then the student has a request. Kalaya. Kalaya means make. And that mam again has to be brought down or inferred. So, mam kalaya, make me. And he could have asked for many things. Make me rich. Make me famous. Make me a great orator. Make me have a large following. He could have or give me a good spouse, a good house, wonderful children, so many things to ask. But instead he says, he goes for the ultimate that you can ask from a teacher, and he says, Kalaya mam, make me what? Jiva, Ishvara Jiva Vivekavit, make me. What is Ishvara Jiva Vivekavit? Very big compound. So there should be a little dash between Kalayeshvara Jiva. Kalaya Ishvara Jiva Vivekavit. Vidam Kalaya. Ishvara Jiva Vivekavit. And then when it is in the object case, Ishvara Jiva Viveka Vidam. Second case. So what is this? So Ishvara and Jiva. What are they? In the eyes of most people, two separate entities. In fact, when you say Ishvara, the head flies up like that. You look for Ishvara somewhere as a entity who is separate from you, far away, remote. All these connotations are there when you say Ishvara. And then when you say Jiva, what? The shoulders slump over. Jiva. Oh no. Full of complaints, full of pet peeves. Better to call it Piva rather than Jiva. And full of all kinds of limitations. Any which way you look at the fellow, limited. Power-wise, limited. Every which way limited. Whereas Ishvara, limitless. Totally limitless. That's why the word Bhagavan has these 6 virtues, all in complete and full measure. And what are those virtues? The 6 bhagas. Aishwaryam. Aishwaryam means complete and total overlordship. Overlordship extending everywhere. Nothing is not under the control of Ishvara. Oh, Ishvara is the great overlord of all. This is, and then what do you overlord? Not even the pet cat. Okay. You can't even make it do a single trick. And so there is small overlordship. And then if you look at Ishvara, then the other one is all knowledge. Samagram jnanam. Knowledge of the particulars, the specifics. Knowledge of the general, everything. Sarvajna, general, all-knowing. Sarvavit, knowing everything specifically and in particular. What do you know? What does the Jiva know? Don't even ask. Jiva of small knowledge. Still strutting around thinking, I know a lot. So every which way comes up short. Then we have Samagra Shrihi. Samagra Shrihi means all abundance. Goddess Lakshmi belongs to whom? That is Ishvara. And what about the Jiva? Where is the Shri? Not there. Always financially feeling a sense of insecurity and lack. Pujya Swamiji used to joke that I can make a rich man, I can impoverish a rich man in a second. How do you do that? You just say, please give a donation. and the richest person will say, I am so sorry, I don't have. He will be having, but he feels he doesn't have. That is, I have, but I don't have to give you, which is the same thing. And, and he feels like, I don't have. It's not what you have counts. It's what, the abundance is here in the heart. And so so he may be having, but he is not able to think that he has. His orientation is, I don't have. Financially comes up short. Abundance-wise comes up short. Never enough. Not enough money, not enough time, not enough resources, not enough wherewithal to reach out. Certainly not enough compassion, not enough love. Jiva is not enough ananda. This is what it is. And Ishvara, all abundance. Then we have samagram balam, strength. Strength. All strength. And what is the jiva's strength? Even if you take some kind of a Olympic, what are those people? Weightlifters. He'll be going like this with the clenched teeth and every part of him is shaking. And then you just put one feather on top. Yeah. Just the thought of that feather adding the weight will make the person drop the weight. There is a limit to the balam. There is a limit to everything. And this is what the jiva experiences, a finitude. Then we have samagram vairagyam for Ishvara, total vairagya. Because all this abundance belongs to Ishvara means Ishvara should feel, okay, it's all mine, get away from me. No. Not involved, not having a sense of possession with all that there is. Full vairagya. And the jiva's vairagya is at best funeral ground vairagya, as we have been studying in the Jivan Mukti Viveka. Labor pain vairagya, funeral ground vairagya, indigestion vairagya. That's also a kind of vairagya. Of food. Why? Stomachache. That's why. And so this is, in every way comes up short. The last bhaga is samarthyam, the capacity to throw out, to project this universe, to sustain the universe, to resolve the universe unto oneself. This, of course, this power doesn't have, jiva doesn't have. So the jivas has a sense of finitude, a sense of limitation, and a sense of being remote, far away, unconnected, and completely alienated from Ishvara. This is why Vedanta, which, in fact, in this third line, the whole Vedanta Shastra is there in one line. Kalaya, Mam Kalaya, make me into Ishvara Jiva Viveka. Viveka here means the one who is able to discern that the difference and the distance, the so-called distance between Jiva and Ishvara is a big spoof. Make me into that person who is able to eradicate the difference between myself and Ishvara, between Jiva and Ishvara. Why? Because that distance is a big bluff. It's not really there. It is a projection. So make me into that kind of a person. This is asking, it's easier to ask for the moon. This is something very big. So he goes to the heart of the Vedanta Shastra and says, make me into the one who sees, who discerns the fact that Ishvara and Jiva are but one. They are not two separate entities. How? This is what Vedanta Shastra is. We have sentences in the Upanishads called Mahavakyas. And what is a Mahavakya? Jiveshwarayoho Aikyamata Vakya. A sentence that reveals the oneness of this jaded, faded jiva, the one who has a poor opinion of oneself, the one who is chafing under these limitations and constraints because the jiva takes them to be real, and the one who is just waiting to be one with everything, the one that wants Ishvara and wants to be with Ishvara, wants to be one with Ishvara, but doesn't know how. Therefore, thinks of Ishvara as not locally available and totally alienated from this Bhagavan, and therefore subject to fear, subject to sorrow, etc. But who is this jiva? This is what is taught by Mahavakyas such as Tat Tvam Asi. There is a Mahavakya. Tat means Jagat Karanam Brahma, that which is the cause of the universe. Bhagavan, Ishvara, is referred to by the word Tat. Why? Because in one's mind it is somewhere remote. Tat, that. The preposition that is always used to refer to something far away. Like that door. This mic. This is something near. So it's always I am Atma, this I, but that Brahman. Because I don't know this Brahman, it looks to be far away, and the Upanishad goes along with one's ignorance for the time being in order to make a point. Yes, perceptually, experientially, there seems to be some kind of a void, a chasm, which needs a gap that needs to be bridged. And so it goes along and says Tat. What is this Tat? This Tat, we are told in the Chandogya, is nothing but Sat. What is this Sat? That which was there even before this whole Jagat came into being. That Jagat which was there in an unmanifest form, that presence itself is called Sat. And then we are told that this Sat is sentient. It is all-knowing Sat with the potential to create. And that Sat, Tat Sat, is what? Sa Atma. That Sat is this Atma alone. This Atma alone, that Sat is. And the teaching is being given to Shvetaketu, who everyone can identify with because he is very erudite, well educated, has been to college, Gurukula, and very clever, well read, scholarly, and also quite proud of his learning. And he is told he doesn't know the only thing that really needs to be known. When he comes back from university, he is insufferably proud. And the Sanskrit term for that is Anuchana Mani. Anuchana means the ability to repeat and chant the Vedas. And then there is Manita, Garvam. There is pride with regard to the ability, memory power, etc. So therefore, Anuchana Mani. And so, what is he? So he says, well, I don't think there is such a knowledge. Did you ask for this knowledge? Well, I don't think there is such a knowledge. Because I was the brightest one in the university. And if there was such a knowledge, my teachers would have taught me. And the father says, that's not what I'm asking. I'm asking if you asked for that knowledge. Then he has to say, because he has this inquiring mind, he has to say, is there such a knowledge? And that is how the teaching begins. Tat Sat, that Sat alone is this Atma. This I is that Sat. How? It's fascinating. A fascinating journey. How the finite, the I with a sense of finitude attached to it is equated to the infinite Brahman, infinite Ishvara. The equation is not between Jiva and Brahman as Satchidananda. The equation is between two upadhis. Upadhis means containers, as it were. Upa samipe sthitva, staying next to something, that which lends its characteristics to something else. Like even, there it is. Like even a crystal behind which we can put a purple flower and the crystal looks purple. Then you change the background, you put something black, the crystal looks black. And then you take that away, there is no color at all here. So the upadhi for this, the red color becomes the upadhi for the crystal, which is free of all colors. Similarly, for the Atma, the various bodies become, as it were, upadhi, without the Atma undergoing any change at all. And this is told to Shvetaketu in great detail. So like this, there are many, many Mahavakyas which talk about the differences between the Jiva and Ishvara as a big bluff, thanks to Maya Shakti. That is the cause of this bluff. And what does the Maya Shakti do? She has two specific powers. The first power is to veil, obfuscate. Avarana Shakti. Avarana, that's how it should be pronounced. And I'm saying that because somebody said to me, can you please talk about Avarana? And so, in English, sometimes if it is 3 syllables long, you stress the second one, I think, something like that. And if it's 4 syllables, you stress the third one. So that kind of an orientation is there. Avarana, Ramayana, what else? Himalaya. So all this has to be corrected, okay? And because we don't have accents, we have long and short. So whatever is long has to be pronounced, you have to elongate that. What were we talking about? Avarana. So, Avarana Shakti. The power to cover. Covers what? That oneness. Covers that oneness and doesn't let you see that. That is the Shakti. And that same Maya for Ishvara is the power to create. She is all knowledge for him. But when it comes to the Jiva, she puts a dunce cap on the Jiva, makes him sit in a corner, surrounds the Jiva with self-ignorance, manifest in the Jiva as self-ignorance, manifest in Ishvara as all knowledge. Avarana Shakti. Then, as though that is not enough, we have another Shakti. What is that? Vikshepa. The power to project the one into many. That's why the Jagat is mesmerizing. So many kinds of things, so many trees, so many flowers, so many kinds of fruits, so many things. This is just talking about Ishvara Srishti. Then you add Jiva Srishti into it, all made things. You go to the supermarket and then you see rows and rows and rows of things, all kinds of things. So many choices. And then one takes this power to choose seriously and one keeps on thinking, should I buy this or should I do that? Should I get that? This one is costlier, but it has more quantity, and that one is less, but it has some kind of a different quality. one goes crazy. One cannot decide. One becomes incapacitated often. And this becomes a very big problem in life. You don't know which road to take. And this is why it is, this is why this Vikshepa Shakti is not something to be laughed at. It is very powerful. So these two Shaktis together are as though a gap, the distance, cause a distance between Ishvara and Jiva, whereas everything is nothing but Ishvara alone. All that is there is Ishvara. And then what is Jiva? Ishvara plus a big headache. That's all it is. Ishvara plus numerous complexes centered on the self. Ishvara plus some sorrow. Ishvara plus fear. Ishvara plus a notion of limitations. Ishvara plus finitude. This is all it is. And this is taken seriously because one does not have an understanding of Vedanta Shastra. Since Vedanta Shastra has not been assimilated, one has not been exposed to it, that is why there is pain, there is sorrow, there is separation, there is alienation. And what Totaka is asking Adi Shankara to do is to make him just like his teacher. Make me like you. You have the viveka. You have called out this bluff. Make me also able to call out this bluff immediately. Make me into that person who has this knowledge that is the only thing to ask from you. Why is that the only thing? Because everything else is not lasting and not transformative. Anything else that I ask from you will only lead to more and more limitations, more and more finitude. Because whatever I ask will come, other than this, will come to an end. And once that comes to an end, I'll have to come to you again asking for something else. Then that too will come to an end, and after that I'll have to come again asking for something else. This is what I want to stop. See, he already has some viveka here. He already has some discernment because he knows what to ask. He wants nitya, not anitya. Then how do we bridge this gap? It is to look at the differences. It's not that the differences are subsumed or not recognized, but you look underneath the differences, so to speak. You look beyond the differences to see what is there, what is that thing which is, as it were, sporting the differences. This is viveka. You take away all that does not count. You take away all that does not count. Whatever cannot be reckoned, you take away. So if you say jiva, whatever is not lasting, you take away. Body, yes or no? No. Yeah, take away, okay? So yes, take it away. Mind? Yes. Senses? Yes. And what is left? Complexes, take those also away because they keep changing. They are also, they are not infinite. They are infinite in number, but each one is finite. Take that away. What is left? Oneself as self-shining eye, awareness. What is this awareness? That which makes you answer yes when I ask the question, are you here? Are you here? Yes. This is what happens. First you have to tell the answer, then ask the question. And still half the people don't answer. So this is what it is. So that which That which makes you say yes without hesitation, without consulting the person sitting next to you. Am I here? What do you think I should do? Or consulting a family member. What should I say? And then you tell me, wait, I will consult my spouse and get back to you on that, whether I exist or not. Nobody needs to do that. Nobody needs to consult anybody because the answer is clear and unequivocally there. That presence cannot be shut up. Aham aham iti sakshat sakshi rupena bhasate. That which shines as I, in the form of a witness. Ultimately, there is no witness also. That also resolves, because the witness is a provisional status, so that one can recognize this I. So you say, okay, I'm not the body, I'm the witness of the body. But if there is nothing to witness, even the status of the witness resolves. Even the status of the witness resolves. Let's say the person is sitting for meditation, guided meditation. And then what? And the guide says, watch, close your eyes. Okay, done, check. And then watch the body. You are the witness of the body. Then the meditator watches the body. And by the time the guide says, watch the mind, the meditator is no longer the meditator. What has happened to the meditator? Yes, meditator has become the sleeper. And so, what happened to the witness? Of course, the mind is also not there. The object of witnessing gone in sleep, obviously. And what happened to the inquirer? The watcher, the sakshi also has resolved. And what there is just awareness. An awareness that cannot express itself presently, currently in sleep, but it is very much there. Because upon waking, meditation is long over, I'm still sitting here. So then everything comes back. At some point, I must have gone into nirvikalpa samadhi. That thought comes. So even the witness is a provisional status. Here what we have is we just take away all that doesn't belong. Doesn't belong in the realm of that which is called Sat, which the Jagat was in before it came into being. Idam Jagat Agre, previously. Sat Asit. And so you take away the body cognitively, okay? It's not that you have to have an out-of-body experience. You take away the body cognitively, you take away the mind, you take away the senses, you take away the complaints. In fact, we should do that first. And then you take away everything that doesn't really is not lasting. And all that the jiva is, the truth, the content of the jiva is awareness. Awareness, everything becomes evident to me, awareness, and I am aware of myself. This is awareness. Sakshita. Swatasiddhata. Then, this is called Tvam Pada Vichara, an inquiry into the nature of I. This is not enough, because this is not exactly going through the whole Mahavakya. This is just gaining some kind of like a space. This is just part of the story. Tvam Pada Vichara does not mean you have gained the knowledge. And so therefore, the other side also, the same kind of unraveling has to be done. And what is that unraveling? That is Tat Pada. That which is the word, that which is signified by, qualified by the word Tat. What is that? Ishvara. Oh, how can I take away anything from Ishvara? It's all Ishvara. Because if you're thinking like this, all we have to consider is that we have cycles of creation, correct? So when is the Aishwarya, all knowledge, Jnanam, Aishwarya, Vairagya, all these Shadaishwarya, these 6 kinds of virtues that we talked about in full measure, when are they manifest? During cycles of creation. So the creation itself comes and goes. And so the status of creator is coming and going along with the creation. When there is creation, then there is creator, the status creator. So you again cognitively, this is all a upadhi. So the creator upadhi, you take away the status of creator, you take away the status of, all these things, all knowledge, all power, the power to create, the power to sustain, karma phala data, this is also a status. And all this you cognitively remove, and what is there? Awareness. That is all that is there. That same Sat Chit Ananda, wearing a grand dress full of all kinds of sequins, bling, as they say, full of bling. What is this bling? Bling means anything that is shiny is called bling. These days lingo, blingo. And so anything that shines, anything that is over the top. This is what Ishvara's dress looks like. The border is full of galaxies, all kinds of, if you put NASA, if you see NASA pictures, there's one eye of God. It really looks like an eye. Have you seen that? Yeah, looks like an eye. There's some gases, very beautiful. And then there is one called 3 Wise Men. It really looks like 3 monks. And so these are, these NASA photos of these grand galaxies with all their wings and planets and everything. This is what is the border of the cape that Ishvara wears. All embroidered in gold, grand, wonderful. And what about the Jiva's cape? Jiva's cape is, Jiva's cape is such that she wishes to escape from it. That's why it is called cape. It's full of tatters, lined with teardrops, and miserable. Thinks, therefore, clad in this cape, the Jiva thinks, I'm a beggar, I'm an idiot, identifies with the upadhi, identifies with this, I want, I don't have upadhi. And therefore, taking this seriously, one starts to grieve. Shochati. Shochati means grieves. This is because it is taken seriously. And the more seriously that this upadhi, or this so-called dress of the jiva is taken, the greater is the throes, the greater is the throes of samsara, greater is the pain, greater is the sorrow, greater is the fear. So it's this all in the upadhi, meaning that which the appearances. It's just in the Viveka Chudamani, the same thing is given, very beautiful imagery between the king and the sentry. Sentry means, who is sentry? The one who stands at the door of the palace and says, no entry. That's how to remember sentry. Okay? No entry, the one who says. And so the sentry will have some insignia, correct? He'll be carrying one spear, maybe a sword or a baton, a stick, to drive away miscreants and riffraff who try to enter the palace. Then they will be having a uniform, because this is the glory of the kingdom, to have the very nice uniform for the guard, the sentry. And the king also, has some glory is there for the king in the dress. The king is not going to come out in sweatshirt and sweatpants and say, okay, what are your complaints? No, there is a grand cape, there is some, again, insignia of power. In the Western kings, they have, what is that? Some kind of a ball, some ball they hold, scepter, it is called crown, all these things are there. In fact, nobody recognizes the king. If the king were to be in pajamas, nobody would even recognize the fellow. It's only because of all these grand get-up. Oh, king, okay, namaskar, Maharaja Dhiraj, aa rahe hain. So the whole thing comes, along with his crown and everything comes. The king comes. So the Viveka Chudamani imagines a scenario where somebody, some miscreant drugs the king. Maybe the sentry is revolting, and so somebody drugs the king and exchanges the dress. Exchanges the dress. And so the sentry, who is now in the king's get-up, and the sentry is now in the sentry was the king. The sentry is the real king now. And so the sentry has, been given something to drink and then lost consciousness. And as the sentry is coming to, the king says, catch him, he's an imposter. Catch him, throw him in jail. Yeah, this is called prarabdha, okay? Yeah. And so this is what happens. And then they believe, because this was the day before all this, what is that? Iris, they read the eyes, they read the prints, all this was not there in those days. Digital identity, reading the teeth and all these things. Only the dress. The dress would decide whether you are the king or the servant. And so if you're dressed like a sentry, you must be the sentry. And you can imagine how hard it would have been for this king in the sentry dress to really prove his credentials without any emblems of power. That is exactly the difference between Jiva and Ishvara. That is the dress. But then you talked about Maya, Shakti. She is the seamstress, okay? She is the one stitching the dress. She is very busy. She is the one as though stitching the dress. And this is why the dress cannot be taken seriously, because ultimately it is like that story from which the expression emperor's clothes has come. It is mithya. Mithya doesn't mean non-existent. Mithya means dependent reality. It is dependent on Sat. Everything is dependent on Sat. So the upadhi, Jiva's upadhi, finite upadhi, with all its complaints and problems and sense of limitations, and Ishvara's upadhi, both are mithya. Don't say Ishvara is mithya. Ishvaratvam is mithya. Ishvara-ness is mithya. Jiva-ness is mithya. We'll talk a little more about that tomorrow. But for now, this much is important. And this is what Totakacharya says. Mam kalaya, make me see this spoof between Jiva and Ishvara. Make me understand my identity as non-separate from Ishvara. Two announcements. One is tomorrow is Pradosha Puja. This evening class will meet at 3:45. Please make a note of that. And we will say the closing prayer. And our Shuddhatma Ji is here. He would like to say a few things. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.